If you're a fan of Vitality, you'll be overjoyed to know that they're going to be starting on the favored side.
Yeah.
And with that, they get the first ban as well.
I'm expecting a Thatcher Valkyrie ban from Vitality here. I want to see if they can pull through. No, it'll actually be a target ban onto the Ying. I don't know if Sandbox plays as operator. I have not actually seen them play Oregon before, but it does make sense. However, from Sandbox Gaming, I would like to see a mirror, but a +1 on that attacker and a sledge ban comes out. Not something that we have seen before. We've seen the bug a handful of times, but not the sledge. This might shake things up a little bit.
A defender-sided map where Maverick, Hibana, Ace, Thermite, and Thatcher are all available. Additionally, Flores is in play as well. You can furrow your brow all you'd like. The camera can't see you, but I can, because you
I'm confused.
are looking at these 3 bans.
I'm confused, Parker. What is going on? The Ying into the sledge into the Maestro. Is this a funky ban scenario? We haven't seen one of these before.
Watch this be Valkyrie.
It has to be.
Okay, mirror it is. Mirror is sensible, to be fair.
A talented taking out the mirror. That is actually a surprise to me. I thought it would be Sandbox to do it. Of course, they chose the Maestro instead, which, again, target bans are coming out, and we spoke about this earlier. Teams have been hiding stuff, going with the default, playing the same maps again and again, but these games, they have so much pressure on them. They matter so much more than the previous, so they want to bring out everything they got and not hide a single thing. Speaking of hiding, no hiding will be done from Vitality. They go upstairs into kids' dorms. That is a bomb site where you typically spread out around the map, whereas the basement is typically where you go to hide, if anywhere. Maverick being 6-picked away from into the finger to enable that APAC aggression. I'm a big fan of this. You can just play the Hibana. And of course, if you need more heart breach, you can pick up the can opener or the heart breaching gadget onto the buck.
And defuse bombs.
Yeah, it's worth noting that the can opener, by the way, is that secondary hard breach gadget, which most recently received a buff. Now you get 2 of them.
Wow, is that a double up?
You can double up. Doesn't exactly give you the biggest area into a wall or through a wall, but I mean, it's still very much applicable, and it's good enough in a pinch.
Yeah.
Look at the Sandbox lineup, by the way. Finka being brought out, no sledge available. That's what Sandbox banned, targeted towards Vitality, so NV Taylor will rock the clock. We need a good game for NV Taylor today. We need it.
Yes.
You need it, Sandbox needs it. Everybody needs a good game from NV Taylor today. He had a bad day yesterday, a very, very bad, gosh darn, downright rotten stinker of a day yesterday. NV Taylor needs to be better today on his entry. He needs to be significantly better on defense so that he's not forfeiting his life early and leaving his team in a perpetual 4v5, especially if you're going to try to keep things close and want to move past the groups.
No, you're absolutely right. And as you said, NV Taylor, we gotta keep an eye on him, but of course, we gotta keep an eye on everybody as well. From the French side, Bieber, there was an article this morning, I believe, about him, speaking about his impact on the team. He's like the cement for them, especially on LAN events. He's really good at using his emotions in a positive way, making sure the vibes are up and the tilt is nowhere to be found. So, I've been very impressed to see Vitality so far because I didn't expect them to come in looking as good as they have. This is the first game that you and I get to spectate from them, so we don't have that much information from our own experience, but of course, the scores speak for themselves. Vitality right now doing a great job utilizing the roam inside the basement. Ryze gonna come up the lobby stairs and P4 on the freezer, so they're gonna try and capitalize onto Sandbox Gaming, but the timing here is key. Of course, Sandbox playing the bug from down below, gonna rain terror up above, but P4 tries to get the timing, plays his cards smart. But remember, the silhouette is behind the wall inside of kitchen, not inside of server itself.
Both of these teams have shown a lot of inconsistency over the last 2 days of group stages, and I think that's fair to say. Who can make the least mistakes? Who can come most prepared? That's going to be our focus here. Halfway point of the very first round. There's an adrenal surge to go out. You can hear the sounds of it in your ears ringing out. Still 2 remain, and NV Taylor's actually very close to getting a kill, but instead it's going to be Nova to grab it. The very first pick of this series, the very first pick of this round.
Not bad. That's a good opening for a team that needs it, seeing as their previous game against Team 1 on Coastline didn't go their way. P4 is still creeping around, has not moved from the spot in the past 50 seconds plus, and here he might just get rewarded. A nice headshot onto Static, and he'll find himself inside of servers.
Down he goes. For those of you wondering who Static is, he used to go by Sweet Black on the team ages ago, for those that are fans of Mantis FPS with long memories. So, oh no, a bit of a miss from Harper as Nova blocks the flashbang. That's a wasted piece of secondary utility, but additionally wasted time. About 5 seconds burned off the clock there. Toxic canister misses, and now with the safety of the bunks next to him, it's going to be a successful plant. Grenades going out, and there you have it. Bibu does some work with his gun in hand as well, but he's going to have more to do. Nova says, nope, that's all you get. 2 kills, good enough. We'll take the round if we're Sandbox, and even though they're on your screen, Vitality does not prevail.
Interesting there. Sandbox chose to go for the big window, and it looked like they didn't have enough map control to actually do anything with it. They didn't have the white stairs, they didn't have trophy, didn't have attic, but the cover from the big window when Harper went for the plant was actually phenomenal, even though people had a phenomenal impact as well, coming onto the plant. They're taking him out. He found one with the impact, one with the gun, but it wasn't enough. Sandbox come out on top. That is a great start for them. P4. Guys can't see it, but he is hovering the Muzzy 6-picking into the Valkyrie. Vitality want more information to work with.
Well, let's talk about the impact and the weight and significance of this particular matchup. Right now on the other stream, if you have access to a computer or a laptop, open 2 tabs. Follow along with me here. Go to your operating system, your browser of choice, whatever your operating system may be. Go to your browser of choice, open it. At the top of the screen, I want you to type in twitch.tv/Rainbow6. RAINBOW 6. The letter.
Okay. Yeah.
The number.
The number.
But I want to see what you say.
10 seconds left.
The number 6, not the
Number.
Trying to inject more banter.
we came out...
Trying to inject more banter. So Rainbow 6, the number, not the letter. And then I want you to have both those browsers open at the same time. Why? Because what we are watching right now is 2 very pivotal matchups. If Team 1 loses to Dark Zero, that opens the door for Dark Zero to make it out of the groups. Team 1 is still the favorite to advance, but they would be tied with the winner of this game if it doesn't go to overtime. If Vitality loses and Team 1 loses, both teams are going to be fighting for their life when they play each other later today. So this is going to be a crucial matchup either way for these teams. If Team 1 wins against Dark Zero and then plays Vitality later, very similar to the position we have with NIP versus the Sonics, if Vitality wins their matchup against Dark Zero, they're safe. They move on. They get out of groups. They go to the playoffs. They could then decide, maybe we'll take the game off. Maybe we'll take the game off against Vitality. Maybe we want Vitality to make it. Or they could say, you know what, let's sweat it out. Let's have one of the potentially weaker teams in Sandbox and Dark Zero make it through. Their fate in Vitality's are not in Vitality's hands. It's in the hands of your opponents at that point.
Yeah, those dynamics are always very interesting because you can start questioning, well, are they going to be helping us? Are they going to be helping them? Are they going to give it their all the entire way through and try and go undefeated? Or will they play a bit weaker to hide some strats and perhaps leave our opponent to go through in favor? We'll find out. But Sandbox, very good early round so far. Quick aggression to assert the map control. Slowed down in the mid game, which is smart. You don't want to get picked off guard by Vitality. They were creeping up on those staircases previously, so adapting to the possible aggression is very smart. Hibana on this bomb site with the Thatcher being open and the Kite not being played. Fair enough, neither is the Thatcher, but basically they nullify each other, so neither will see play. But if one starts being picked, you might see the other. At least in the Kite scenario. Anyway, hatches have been opened up and it looks like either a split take as MV Taylor has a drone in the laundry side and Harper has one in the freezer. So they're going to capitalize on every single area, and this is something that we've seen for both Europe and North America and LATAM. So in other words, a Sandbox playing like every other region, and they might just do that in a great fashion.
Static heading down. And just to spot one of those Valkyrie cameras under watch, likely caught by that drone as he didn't look in that particular direction. Nade goes out as well, but it sounds like it got caught. Does not go off. That's likely Rise's ADS that grabbed it. He knows that he's got somebody pinched right now, pushed down by the washer, and Static is waiting for them to walk on up. NV Taylor could get very aggressive, but there's somebody playing inside of that closet watching. That's P4 that you talked about earlier on. Have they been able to burn out those ADSs? That's the real question. Bibu decides to go after Static, and Static winning that fight, but he doesn't win the follow-up. The shotgun is out by Cactus, but he's traded out. It's an all-out brawl. Only 5 seconds left, and it's P4 trapped in the closet. He's not getting out. Shile driving the knife through his heart, and 2 rounds now in a row for Sandbox.
Again, Sandbox using the map control to their advantage. They come from every single angle, just seeking raw gunfights. They don't care about the diffuser, they don't care about the plant. A complete brawl, leaving it into a 1 versus 1. I believe it was somebody injured as well. The shotguns from Vitality did not do enough work, even though they found 1 each. But eventually P4 falls. Sandbox looking very hot, looking very good, and playing much more aggressive and with confidence in comparison to yesterday's game, where we wanted to see more from them in that department.
Absolutely. Sandbox coming to play, by the way. And they started off the day strong yesterday in their matchup against Dark Zero, a 7-4 victory on Coastline, as we had talked about. But then they had a rough one against Team 1. That's okay. It's some ebbs and flows. They struggled against Team 1 on the very first day and then beat Vitality 7-3. It's entirely possible. They just are a good matchup against Vitality. Look at BDS versus NIP. We talked about that earlier. BDS, unsuccessful in every attempt to beat Ninjas in Pajamas. Sometimes a team just has your number, like Evil Geniuses. Their number was had by Penta/G2. So, yeah, sometimes it happens.
Yeah, I mean, going back, reminiscing about the past, Paris Major was an interesting one, and so was every matchup that we had with EG overall back when we were a Penta.
Did you even try the Paris Major?
I think, without bias, I actually think Paris Major G2 was the most dominant roster in comparison to any other team that we've ever seen so far in CJ3.
You were on that team, right?
I was. Yes, I was on that team. We dropped a single map against Market on Villa, only to 6-0 Millennium the day after on that same map, and people thought we were saving strats on purpose so people would pick Villa into us, but I'm gonna tell you the truth right now. We weren't saving strats. Market generally just beat us, and it worked in our favor because people thought we were just intentionally doing things that we weren't, and that's the thing. When you are the team to beat, when you are feared by most, that affects players and their bias against you. They might be thinking one step too far, thinking, oh, they're losing on purpose because they can control the losses, they can control the wins, but I'll be honest, that is not typically the case. You gotta show up and fight your fight every single game of your life. Cactus almost finds a free one from Invitator as he is leading the charge this time, not being in the back, but rather being in the front.
When do you think Vitality starts to worry here? Because look at that, another opening pick goes in favor of Sandbox. They are now 3 for 3 on these opening duels on attack on Oregon. Now, because of the fact that Thatcher is available, because of the fact that there are really no significant standard operator bans, nice play by NV Taylor there down below to kill Cactus, as we talked for just a second. But Bibu fires back. Bibu has been the bright spot so far for the team. He's allowed to persist for as long as he wants to. He's going to be in another engagement very quickly. Shile hears him coming a mile away. Off screen near the bomb site, Rise takes one down in static. Still an advantage for Sandbox, 3v2, half of the round to go.
This is a great bomb site to play a 2 versus 3 downside because you have the Aruni gates on the doors, you have information at your disposal, you have frost traps for the Vault-ins, and the only places you can come from is Sandbox, but they don't need to enter the building. The nade from downtown finds Shenga, leaving Rise all alone. They got the bulletproof, they have the Aruni gates, but outside of that, Rise still has to find 3 headshots, or at the very least, 3 kills, and he finds none! Nova shuts it down, takes the round. That is 4. Sorry, that is 3. Yeah, that is 3 in a row, both rounds and opening kills.
I mean, it's really dominating from Sandbox. Lailoon obviously trying to rally the troops with fist bumps. I gotta ask this question. I know we were talking about it before the killing began. It threw us off our rhythm, and we didn't have exactly enough time to speculate. Oregon is known as being a defender-sided fortress by and large.
Yeah.
Very rarely does it deviate from that. But a Ying and a Sledge ban are obviously target bans. Vitality wants to get rid of Ying from an APAC team. That's perfectly understandable. She's an operator that most APAC teams know how to use and can use quite effectively. And Ying has a lot of strength on a map like Oregon, especially on that top floor for clearing out big window, making space, climbing in, while you take control of Attic with a Maverick, while you take control of games, while you take control of top white stairs, wherever you want to go. Yeah. But you've got a Thatcher available. Hasn't been played right now. Sandbox adapting without one. Assuming most times that Thatcher's going to be banned, teams are ready and prepared to not use a Thatcher on this map. But because of the fact that it's Ying and Sledge, and you've got all of the standard attacker operators unbanned, do you think it's possible that we see the pendulum move in the other direction now, with it being more attacker-sided than usual.
I would argue yes, maybe no. The thing is, Vitality have not been playing the kite on basement, so you don't need to bring the Thatcher. And this is the situation. If the Thatcher was banned and the kite was left open, I guarantee you right now, Vitality would have brought the kite. But because the Thatcher is open, you get this weird situation where it's like, oh, but the kite isn't very good because they'll just play the Thatcher. But that's where the 6-pick comes in handy. You 6-pick the kite, you go basement, they're none the wiser, and now your hatches are secured. Outside of that, I don't think it's necessarily super attacker favored. If anything, let's call it 50-50, but Vitality are giving Sandbox Gaming so much space to work with. If they had watched the game against T1 from Sandbox last night on Coastline, they should know that they need to deny these entry points, play a guy inside of small tower, deny the drone, deny the entry, slow them down, make them fight every tooth, every nail for every inch of the map.
Alright, well, no timeout taken from Vitality just yet. They're quite content to ride this one out. Problem is that if they lose this round, that's effectively the first half. The best Vitality will be able to do is scrape together 2 rounds and emerge with a rare loss on defense on Oregon. We'll see exactly what prevails. The one thing I said that Envy Taylor in particular needed to do, but all of Sandbox needed to be better at, Nick, was get those opening picks. And so far, they're perfect on that. A flawless 3-3 for Sandbox. They now begin their assault on this kitchen and meeting hall bomb site. After dorms didn't work twice and laundry didn't work once, Vitality are going to switch it up. The good news is with Oregon is that one could argue all 4 of the bomb sites are perfectly viable. Bibu gets shut down. 4 for 4 on the opening picks now for Sandbox.
Yeah, and Oregon is always about the man advantage, so these opening kills, they matter even more than usual. The less defenders available, the less angles you can cover, but Ryan says he'll have none of that. Shuts down Static on the entry as well, evening back the man count to 4 versus 4. But the round is not over yet, a minute to go, and Cactus gets downed as well. Not sure from where, but it seems to be from his back, and he's behind. Sile has found his way inside of meeting quite aggressively.
Shile can continue to push up. Watching that hatch for the drop, they've already cleared
This is the bomb site, by the way.
Yeah, they're in the middle of the bomb site, in meeting. They can get that diffuser down whenever they want. I don't know where Nova is. Nice bait from Shile, but he doesn't get the full kill. It's Envy Taylor to claim Rise. Cactus is still down, but no! P4 is in! There's a blind spot exposed and exploited by P4. He and Shinka in the 2v2 with diffuser surrendered, though. This is lost control. I don't really understand how Sandbox let such a huge blind spot go, especially when they thought they had kitchen control. That's where the down Cactus was. Very poor planning on their part. Now they need to reclaim that diffuser, which, as I said, ends up being in the Lion's Den. P4 has this shrewd angle, though. I don't know if they know that he's there. He swings out, so it's going to be Envy Taylor winning the fight for Sandbox. He showed up to play today. Heartbreak for Vitality. They're now down 4-0 to Sandbox.
There you see Rise putting his hand on his forehead in frustration and back behind his head. P4, last man standing in 2 rounds minimum that I can recall, and not finding his 1 versus 1 in either of those situations must feel frustrating for him. That was such an odd round. First, Vitality has a massive blind spot. Sandbox are on site out of nowhere. Then, Sandbox forgets the door that they came from. So can Vitality. They get shut down by Cactus on the... actually, sorry, it was P4 on the flank. And then it turns back around where, well, Sandbox defined the 2 versus 2 into a 2 versus 1. P4 trades it back to a 1 versus 1, but Envy Taylor shuts down P4 for the 2nd time in this match. And we're back in the basement with no kite inside, not forcing out the Thatcher, none of that will be had, not playing the Womai, so we're not getting Nate denied. We got the Melusi here, which honestly, the value that you bring on top of the Valkyrie, it's like stacking double information in the same areas of the map, so unless you're going to be roaming, which does not seem to be the case, I need to question Vitality's operator lineup. You can either bring more shields, you can play the Womai, bring out the kite, force out the Thatcher, because Sandbox has not played Thatcher a single round. So bringing on the kite will make these hatches super safe. They're not playing the Maverick on these attacks besides that 1 round, which means you have the advantage, you have the tools, you have the operators, but it seems like Vitality is not doing a good enough job analyzing the operator lineup choice for Sandbox. I don't understand it.
And no timeout taken either, right? Like, when do you call this? Vitality.
Last round.
But yeah, I mean, Vitality are losing the plot here. If they win this round, which is the way these things work, by the way, this round is going to be won by Vitality. I can predict the future already for no reason. Sandbox are going to get cocky. They're going to lose the first pick. Vitality's going to get the first pick. They're going to snowball, and it's going to be almost a flawless round for Vitality. Why? Because that's just the way that these things go. Not that I want to leak the script for it.
I was gonna say the script has now been leaked. We'll see if it's true like it usually is. Sile, same old, inside small tower, aggressive in the server hall, takes control of the first staircase of 3. That is the goal for Sandbox, to get all those staircases on lockdown, start working on the hatches of Vitality. Right now, they're just sitting around waiting. Yes, Rise, you're doing a great job, buddy. Sitting on the big tower stairs, denying information, but outside of Rise, there's not a whole lot of active players on the map. They're just giving this again and again for free, and again, there's no kite, there's not a lot of shields available, so the turtle formation that Vitality is using is not reinforced by anything other but their gunfights, and so far, Sandbox are doing better in that department than Vitality.
Well, lots of time killed now, 90 seconds with no real altercations.
Look how little Vitality's moving. They all fit in this screen. Not only that, but only one person of his P4 is actually pressing W, A, or D. The rest of those guys are waiting. But waiting for what?
The one thing I will say about Sandbox is that they're winning these rounds on fragging alone. Their objective play and strategic coordination, it has not been anything spectacular.
But then at the same time, Vitality is not really putting up much strategical resistance. So, what do? The second Flourish drone comes in, takes out the shield, and now Shinka has to give up elbow, or at the very least hold it at a disadvantage, with nothing but an SMG-11 in hand, and nobody who can help him.
Nova is just sending these Flores drones out and out and out, and now they've moved Shinka off of that spot, but that gas is going to linger. Some flashes tossed out by Static to see if there's any ADS's positioned over by Pillar. Rise gets the opening pick. What did I say? Vitality was going to get it, right? And then it's going to be a near flawless round for them. I might have been wrong, though, by the way, because Sandbox is keeping this close on this regard. Still an advantage for Vitality, but Harper's looking the wrong way. Harper with 1 kill so far will need to get more, and he's going to get killed from the back. Okay, well, I said a near flawless round. They got 2 picks, and they got the first pick. I was right.
I will give that to you. I'm not going to lie. Yes, 2 players did die, but what looked like a terrible situation did get turned around, which you also said. Vitality will get the opening kill. They will snowball from there, and they will make their terrible situation all that much better. And I don't know. From a strategical standpoint, on the paper, Vitality did not play necessarily amazing that round, but they managed to win their gunfights this time, which was a defining factor. When the previous rounds, it was the Sandbox toying with the French, but this time, they did strike back, and they did strike back true. Cactus, off the frost, onto the smoke. Nova, picking up the finger, once again, off the Monty. So, getting a bit of a tease on the 6 picks here, which is always nice to see. We have seen Sandbox and Furia and a couple of teams starting to toy around with the Monty. We don't see it played all that much, but the 6 pick value is still there. Vitality now picking up the shields, 2 on the Goyo, 1 on the smoke, and now all of a sudden we have a formation, a strategic position, reinforcements, and we now have something to play around. Of course, there will be the Aruni and the Jaeger, no Might Disc, so you have limited but still good cover of those positions.
Well, through no real strategic element of their own, no timeout taken, Vitality were able to put that round together, and Sandbox really struggled. There wasn't that strategic element that we talked about. And the thing is that the longer that Sandbox takes to get set up, the more that the strategic component becomes important. Yeah, if Vitality's going to forfeit those early picks, if they're going to roam loosely, if they're going to roam improperly, and you walk right in and you kill a couple people at the same time, or kill the entry, and then move on from there, you have a huge advantage. And the strategy isn't particularly important because you've got time, you've got utility available, you've got so much working in your favor. But you noted it, Vitality weren't moving.
No, they weren't moving, and yet somehow they still came out on top, so maybe standing still is what you need to do. It's almost like playing against the good old Lion back in the day where moving would cost you your life.
Just stand still, they'll say. But the longer that Vitality plays those more cautious and conservative minutes, the better they're going to be against this team.
I agree. I do agree. Envy Taylor looking from down below once again. This is the same thing that Sandbox wants to do, but they've been successful for most of these rounds. I want to see what Vitality are going to do in an answer back to this because they have yet to win a Kid Storm defense.
Well, Well, not for lack of trying. This is the third attempt at the bomb site, and as you said, wholly unsuccessful thus far. Sandbox still not able to complete the objective on any of these bomb sites, so we may actually go through an entire first half with the attackers winning the majority of the rounds while not completing the main goal of getting the diffuser down. Not an ideal spot for yourself to find, I guess, your team in.
Yeah.
NV Taylor,
yourself, your team, whichever. Yeah.
NV Taylor lurking down below. They opened up that kitchen hatch, still watching the window now. As Shyle will toss out a drone and miss. That's a point of frustration. So what do you do with it? Well, maybe aim a little higher next time. Pre-fire onto the window. They have no information as to whether somebody is playing inside a classroom at the moment. There's one pinched up over by Attic. Shile's having a hell of a time trying to figure out where he is.
Seems a little bit lost there. Looking for a big window execute in similar fashion as to before. NV Taylor down below, shots one down. Static finds the other one to Rise. It's Rise and P4 off the board. White Stairs now will be taken in control from Static, most likely, as the execute comes through from Sandbox.
Really well played by the entire team at this point. A grenade goes off as well. Bibu predicts it and manages to get out of the way in time. Whether he'll get aggressive on White Stairs or big window. He's up by the big window now, which is where the Fink has been playing of Nova, with Harper not too far away. And up Bibu will go, and there he has it. Takes out Harper. Nobody's looking. He has backup with him of the Aruni, but he doesn't need Shinka to move a muscle. Cactus gets in on the fun as well. Both teams standing at a 3v3, 30 seconds left. Diffuser down. No grenades remaining from either Static or Nova, so you cannot flush Bibu out of this spot unless you take White Stairs. But here's the curious thing. Static was over by White Stairs, but is now fully rotated. Sights aligned over towards Attic, and all you need to do is look in the right direction. It's a bit messy, but it still works out in his favor. Bibu now swinging for the fences. They've got to find Cactus, who manages to take down one. 2 seconds left. Static saves the day with his 3 kills, charging through the laser gate and sacrificing HP for the final death that was needed on behalf of Vitality. What an impressive first half as Sandbox emerges 5-1.
Definitely. Their aggression and their confidence is so much different than in the past of yesterday. You mentioned the White Stairs. I mentioned the White Stairs. Ayana was there. That is Static. Static was spot on wide. Could have walked up to assist that execute. Went all the way back around for Armory instead. And yes, it paid off in the long game. But what ended up happening from the side of Vitality was Bibu snuck into that big window position where Sandbox, they had already cleared it. They were under the impression that nobody was there. Bibu found the timing and found the opening and essentially shut down the execute of Sandbox. And then, ironically enough, the flank from Armory worked in favor, even though it looked like the wrong decision at the time. Now, first defense is going to be in the basement from Sandbox, and they have a very different setup than the one from Vitality, the Jaeger and the Womai, meaning they can solidify their position. They do not need to roam. They have one shield from the smoke, and then they have a walking shield on the Clash. I don't personally remember. We've seen Clash once. That was in the Sonics IG game on Chalet, but outside of that, I don't remember seeing it a single time from any of the games that we've cast. So, a low pick rate operator being utilized in a do-or-die game. That says something that Sandbox are ready to bring out every single operator that they have. And of course, the Ella shotgun, which Nova did play on Coastline, where it's like, okay, what are you doing with a shotgun on Coastline? But this is Oregon. It's a different story. You got the staircases, you got close quarter combat, and more importantly, the defenders can handpick their gunfights against the attackers much more carefully.
Well, I mean, it's not unusual to see a clash on this bomb site, especially if you maintain pillars control. And that's the thing, right? You want to keep Static over by the pillar, have ADSs, have Wamai discs over in that spot, so that the disruption that is most useful to knock that clash out of position is particularly ineffective. There's a lot of layers to get through here. As long as Static can be in that position, and right now the guns from Sandbox can hit their targets, pick off 1 or 2 and put Vitality down in numbers, then the benefits of having a clash in play rise exponentially. It's the same with Monty, right? If Monty is in a 1v2, he's probably doomed. If you're in a 2v3 and there's a Monty upright, you're still in a losing position because it's very easy for 2 players to take his focus and then kill him for it. So Sandbox needs to ensure that they hold a numbers advantage as this time continues to narrow down. or else Static is not going to be particularly useful.
Certainly, the way that I view the Monty and the Clash is that you have one less gun, but you have this walking drone with guaranteed information, and if the player on that particular shield operator is good with their communication, you can set up your teammates for success, make a lot of plays, and retake areas that normally would be doomed. I mean, you see this big tower. He's like peeking, creeping up, saying, "Hey, is anybody up there?" And if there isn't, he can call for the Jaeger to help him. They get the drone, get some free intel denied. There's another one. It'll drive away. It's learned its lesson. So, playing outside the pillar position here is typically where you want to have the clash, but let's pretend the Vitality is going to go for a launcher freezer take. She can just walk right over. That's the benefit compared to the Mira, where despite it being banned right now, if it were in play, you put them down, and once you've done that, you can't move them. The clash, however, has legs.
I don't know. Yeah, Static does see the drone. Okay, I was going to say, you're staring right at it at this point. And there's two of those devices being used in the same position. A smoke goes off, tossed out by Cactus, and Static is going to move particularly towards the back tower. P4 creeping up inside a freezer. I don't know if his position has been revealed, but he's going to come toe-to-toe with Wamai in just a second. Envy Taylor holding this down, and he wins the fight. He's doing exceptionally well today. 8-4 becomes 8-5, though, for him in his tally. And in the midst of the smoke, it's Shinka, who's not long for this earth. Harper guns him down. Cactus engaging over towards the shield, but smartly. Good patience from Sandbox to not take this engagement. Rise now, what are you able to do against the Clash? This is what I said. You hold that numbers advantage. Shile's there to clean up on it. Playing around, knowing that there's one over towards Pill. Huge round from Shile. And the pistol out, but Rise is there to knock away the Clash. Harper with the insurance kill. No bikini body strat available. Team 1. Dark Zero will go up to 6 points. Team 1 will get 0. Vitality plays Team 1 later. If Vitality wins that matchup, they will be at 9 points. Team 1 will have won 0 points today, so they stay at 9 points. If Dark Zero beats Sandbox in the last match of this group, then Dark Zero finishes at 9 points. So if DZ wins both of their games, they're at 9 points. If Vitality loses here but beats Team 1, they're at 9 points. If Sandbox wins here and loses later, they're at 9 points, and Team 1 is already at 9 points. And guess what? What the hell happens? Well, that's not for us to sort out.
Oh,
that's the timeline I want. I want this group. I want Group B all tied up at 9 points very nicely. I don't think we're going to get it.
I mean,
I also didn't think Sandbox would be up 6-1 over Vitality. They beat Vitality 7-3 in the initial matchup on the very first day of groups.
They did, and then what happened was that, well, yesterday was not a great day to be a Sandbox fan. They looked like a whole different team compared to now, whereas the opposite could kind of be said for Vitality, where they surprised me and they impressed me as well. I saw the interview at B1 and I thought, you know what, this team, they are so much better than I initially thought. And the performance proved my point. Maybe it's just too early. Maybe the situation is, Parker, that Vitality, they already had their breakfast, whereas Sandbox Gaming are devouring Vitality because they are just that hungry.
It's entirely possible, Nick. They say that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and while Sandbox are absolutely eating Vitality alive. In terms of the stats of this matchup thus far, Sandbox have won 6 of the 7 rounds. They have first blood in every single round that they've won. In fact, the team that gets the opening pick here on Oregon has a 100% success rate of winning the round. So that's something that you need to focus on too, because here in this pivotal match point round with Sandbox at 6, there is a possibility that Vitality can come back. Like we said, this is now looking very much like an attacker side at Oregon because of the way that the bans are shaping up and the way that the teams are playing. If you're Vitality, you got to start winning now, and you got to win out the remainder of the match so that you don't end up going to overtime against Sandbox. But we'll see if that unfolds. I don't know what happened to P4 there, but you get some of the life back with that adrenal surge.
I can't believe Harper just swung that with a shotgun. It's like this Sniper 90 all again from the skies in last night's game between Fury and SSG. It didn't finish off the opponent in this case. Just chipped off some damage, finger boosted back up, nothing to be seen there. Harper drops the hatch and runs away, but Vitality do not know that this happened. They're still worried about server. The drone does go in there, and now they know it's clear, but the time is slipping away from Vitality. And as you said, the opening kill is so important. Nate doesn't find it, but whoever does get it is in the advantage.
He damaged himself, by the way, with that grenade. He took about 10 HP away from his own body, so not exactly where he wants to be. This grenade goes off somewhat successfully on Envy Taylor.
It's funny, both teams seem to favor this big window push. Vitality with more emphasis on the white stairs, but look at Harbor's position. Lionscan comes out, they know each other's whereabouts. Ghost isn't chilling this time around, but gets shut down from the prone P4 on the floor. 2 kills Vitality.
And there's another one on the roam now as well. A second opportunity for P4 to stat pad and should get it against Yaruni. He's on the ground. What are we playing? Gold ranked here? Bibu is in. NV Taylor with 2 big kills. 3 big kills. Child's in on it as well. It's now Shinka in a 1v1. Vitality got the first pick, but it might not be for anything at all because Shile is in a 1v1 shootout. Shinka doesn't have access to that diffuser, needs to pick it up. Shile pushes, and the push wins! Sandbox takes the match 7-1 and pick up 3 huge points.
Gold ranked was the name of the round. So many kills found on the floor from multiple players. I love the fact we see P4 starting it off, and then MB Taylor joins him right back, stuck in that corner inside Generator, and finds the kill that brings